pass is caught. That's going to be a first down for the Ravens. 40, 30, 20, 10, 5, touchdown, Ravens! And the crowd goes wild.
All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Play Action Podcast. I'm your host, quarterback coach Garrett Stapleton.
Head football coach Jonathan Coddington. Good to be back on. Here in our, kind of our off season. We've been talking with some of our players. Talking with some of our alumni today. We get to bring on, one of our alums, Josh Adkins. A special one for me. He's one of my teammates. Just such a great dude. Was a running back for us. Kind of back when I was playing. Definitely excited to get a chance to, talk with him a little bit.
Absolutely. And, this is my first time meeting Josh. I'd seen pictures, videos in terms of his playing days here, but it was really good to hear some stories about, his time here at AU, what he's doing past AU, and just to hear some stories about, Coach Coddington as a player as well. It's just really good to have him on just to hear a different perspective.
Most definitely. Well, let's go ahead and hop into our interview with Josh Adkins.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Play Action Podcast. I'm your host and quarterback coach Garrett Stapleton, here with Coach Coddington. And today we're introducing one of our alumni, Josh Adkins. If you want to introduce yourself.
I'm Josh Adkins, a graduating class of 2016, which feels like a while ago now. But played on AU's roster from 2012 to 2016. And yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we really appreciate you being on, and definitely, special for me as we got to be teammates for a couple of years, there as well too. Always enjoyed, getting to hand the ball off to you and throw it to you a little bit, and just was great time, getting to be on that team together, and we're excited to get to kind of dig back into some of those memories and talk a little bit of AU football.
Yep, absolutely.
So what, coming out of high school, from Dayton, Ohio, what kind of led you, over here to come to Anderson?
So coming out of high school, I wasn't recruited hardly at all. But I knew I wanted to play college football. So I started, trying to self-recruit and stuff like that, really get myself in the swing of things. And then reality hit and I realized I did not have the grades. So I did a year at a community college and actually sat out of football for an entire year. And through that's when I kind of, became an adult, actually, got matured a bit and stuff like that, got the grades together. And then that's where I ended up coming to AU through getting my grades together, transcripts and stuff like that. I believe it was Coach Akers was the one that kind of got me on a recruiting phase and stuff like that. And then that's really kind of how I got there.
Definitely, everybody's kind of journey to this point ends up being a little bit different. Definitely, through, a little bit of adversity, definitely probably built a lot of toughness, in you, mentally, especially, trying to have to go through those hoops, but awesome to be able to, kind of finally land here and, get your career and your education going.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So on the football side of things, what are some of your, kind of favorite memories, kind of throughout your time here?
So honestly, some favorite memories that I can think of. One I want to say was my junior year, and was homecoming against Hanover, and it was interesting how it led up to. So actually split my arm the night before the game. And I was like, okay, well, this is weird. Like, no big deal. I'll just get it wrapped up right. Like, no, you're going to have to go get staples. Like, you need to go to the ER now. So Doc, shout out to Doc because he's always making sure that we stay healthy. He had me go to the ER, got staples, ended up playing that game. And ironically, I didn't realize until after that was the first time we had won homecoming in like close to 10 years. Mm. So really, like, for me, that was like a big thing that I like to, hold dear and stuff like that, because it really showed you, like, winning isn't guaranteed. So the hard work, the effort and stuff like that, all those training camps, the meetings that I tried not to fall asleep in, all the workouts that I did over the summer and so on and so forth, leading to that point to where, having that win in front of our, our fans and stuff like that, like I said, I remember that for the rest of my life.
And that's awesome to hear that. I know our first year here, we didn't have a ton of success, and that homecoming game was just so special. We didn't end up winning. I think it was like a 5-point game, but just to have the crowd out there, just have everybody engaged on homecoming, it's a super special feeling. So I definitely know exactly what you're talking about for sure.
Oh yeah, it is. And it's just one of those things where it's like just playing the game in general, like it's really just a blessing. Like being able to, and it's one of those things where it's like we see it as a game, we see it as recreational activity to some people, but it was like this was really our lives. Like
Right.
this was your job before you go into the workforce and actually get a job. Like
Yep.
day in and day out. So it just made, the fruits of your labor anytime you won and had that sense of satisfaction and gratification and stuff like that, just that much sweeter.
Exactly. And obviously all of us being removed from it, it's like I try telling the guys all the time, I'm like, this is the fun part of your life. Like you're gonna have all the time in the world to work afterwards. Like this is your small little window to have fun, be with your friends all the time, and play football at the same time. So when you said that, it resonated a lot with me.
Yeah, it is. And it goes by quick. I know it sounds like you said, it sounds like the old head talking about, oh, it goes by fast, enjoy it. But like it really does. It felt like I was coming in as a freshman and then I was leaving as a senior. Like it felt like it was the very next day. I'm like, wow. Like
Yes, exactly. So I kind of wanted to ask another question. You were talking about how you sat out for a year. Kind of talk about what that did for you mentally, because I know a lot of guys that they think they don't need football when they leave high school, and then they end up missing it a lot that first year. So kind of talk about what that was for you that first year not having football outside of high school.
ooh. So that first year out of high school, it was hard. Because I sat there because I went to a school where a lot of my friends ended up playing college sports in some form or fashion, whether it was D1, D2, D3, etc. And so I honestly went into a depressive state. I gained like a lot of weight. Didn't really have the motivation or desire to go to a community college, even though I knew I needed to. So I really had to lean on my faith in that time because I really felt like all my friends were gone and stuff like that. So I felt alone. So that's where, like I said, God really stepped in and showed out and kind of brought me to that place where it's like, hey, it's not about where you start, but it's how you finish and where you finish.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. And it's a lot of times in definitely some of the harder parts of our journeys where we, have to learn that. And when we find when other things are taken away, we know what remains, for us, and that's that relationship with God. And also too, I'm sure I know this was, for me, probably a little bit for you, for some of our other teammates as well too. Football is what brought us here to AU, but I think we found, a lot more, than just a good football experience here. What were some of the other things outside of football that you were involved in here on campus? What'd you enjoy about your time here?
So I worked at Mocha Joe's all 4 years I was there. So that was a great thing because most people on campus love their coffee and it would be at the wee hours of the night. So being able to kind of get out of my shell and get away from just seeing like the players, nothing wrong with that, seeing my brothers, but meeting other people and stuff like that, and really connecting with other people. I was a part of gospel choir. Um, and then really just connecting in general and stuff like that. I wasn't like enjoyed being around people and stuff like that, but I wasn't a big partier or nothing like that. So it was pretty much you see me on campus or you see me through the dorms or my on campus apartment when I lived in Fair and Terra and stuff like that. But that was pretty much it because I just got to that point where it's like, yeah, I'm here for an education, I'm here to build up on my faith, and then play football. But through that, I did also meet my wife. So we ended up getting married shortly after college. I was about to say high school. And yeah, so we've been rocking ever since. We'll be in June. We'll be here 8 years.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Congratulations on that.
Yeah, thank you, thank you.
Definitely cool. What sometimes we can expect it, sometimes we don't, but some pretty awesome things, kind of happen in these, kind of transformational years for sure. Oh, on the academic side of things, kind of tell us about what you majored in, how that kind of prepared you for your career now.
So I majored in communications and minored in journalism. So I work more in the finance now, so not exactly directly related, but on the flip side, it allowed me to, learn how to just communicate properly with people, and then actually learn and digest as I'm having those conversations. So it still really helped and shaped my career a lot. Through conversation and stuff like that, learning about my job field now, taking those small dialogues that I may have with my supervisor and getting like 7 different nuggets that's like, oh, I can go take this to the job as soon as I step back to get back to my desk and stuff like that. So I think it really helped a lot. And then just the overall experience at AU, I think definitely prepared me for this journey that I'm on now.
Yeah, that's awesome. Kind of take us through your career path from, kind of when you first started to where you're at now.
So I'm actually still in Indiana. I'm actually in Indianapolis now. So I ended up working at the finance center up here in Indianapolis. So going there, the transition, it was definitely tough. I'll be honest with you. Because the biggest thing for me is like I've played football since fifth grade. So not realizing like that was what I thought about. That's what all I was thinking about. Like that was my identity. So went through another depressive mode where it was like, who am I, like, away from sports and stuff like that. So again, I had to lean back into my faith even the more to kind of understand my identity in Christ, and then two, as a person, like, and this is while preparing to get married and everything. And I'm still like, I have no idea who I am. So it's like, who is she married? So so it was one of those things where it was a challenge and stuff like that. I didn't have a job actually lined up right away. So I did have to work fast food, actually at Panda Express on Scatterfield for a little bit. And then as time went on, I was able to get into the career field that I'm at now.
What are some steps for some guys who might be struggling with that transition after college?
Oh, so I definitely say one, you got to get in your faith, like get in your faith proactively, not reactively. Because I was in my faith, but not realizing like the specified prayers I needed to learn, and that's where the reaction versus being proactive came. But really, just defining like where do you feel like you see yourself in the next 5, maybe even 10 years, like post college, post football, and stuff like that, and being realistic, like where you're at right now. Like, are you going towards that career field, rather it's internships, or do you live in the state that kind of supports your career field better, or do you need to move? Like figuring those things out now and getting an idea will kind of help propel you for the next step. So I really think that, you really got to harp on that. But most importantly, I can't say it enough, like the faith walk. Because God is really the reason why I've gotten to the opportunities that I've had now and where I'm at. So I always say, like, yeah, you got to lean on God, trust in Him. You may not know exactly where you're going to land, but just know that you are going to land somewhere.
I know for me, I also went to a faith-based college as well, and kind of lost my way like after college because I, like you said, tied my identity so much into football and what happened with there that I was just kind of lost in that sauce. So no, I really appreciate hearing those words. I know a lot of people out there will appreciate hearing that as well too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, interesting too, as you kind of go through life, that almost each transition time, no matter what you're going from to what you're going to, kind of provides those same, struggles in some ways, and, kind of being able to draw back off of, kind of the, being able to get through those and, help using that towards your next one. Because at the end of the day, we're never going to stop struggling. We're never going to stop transitioning, changing. There's always a lot going on in life, and being able to know the next time after the next time that, hey, this is what got me through. And, it was the faith in God, and it was, being able to maybe rely on some other people as well too. And, having great people like your wife to be able to go through that with, definitely makes it a lot easier.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Well, on kind of back to the football side of things on the field, I know you mentioned the Hanover game being one of your favorite games. Going through looking back through the box scores too of kind of your senior year, had a real big game against Earlham that year. Do you tell us some of the memories back from that game?
Oh man, that was definitely God ordained for sure. So going into that, it didn't look quite as how I kind of envisioned it to going during senior year. So I just remember that entire week I was playing with a chip. I was on edge. I was very irritated. People may have not noticed it, or they may have, but it was just something like I was just extremely mad. Not only for the team success, but personally, because I'm like, I'm a cat, because at this time I'm a captain now. Like, I need to be setting an example, and I can't point the fingers anywhere else but myself. So what needs to be done? So I just kind of got into a mode and stuff like that. And I just remember literally the very first play is going for like 30 plus yards. And by the time I realized what was going on, I'm like, oh, shoot, wait a minute, that's one of the DBs. And then I'm like, oh, shoot, I'm getting tackled. I was supposed to go score now. But by then, next you know, like I said, I'm getting tackled, I'm hyped and stuff like that. And I just knew, I was like, it's going to be that type of game today.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I think I actually have right over my shoulder here, got a picture of that first run, of that explosive run of you running past that safety. And yeah, definitely sweet picture. Great memory there as well too. What did it mean to you, being named a captain your senior year?
So honestly, it meant a lot. And I was also named the captain as well, junior year. So it was one of those things where I really understood, like, it was bigger than me. Like, it doesn't matter what I'm doing on the field or what I'm doing off the field and stuff like that. Like, now as a captain, as a leader, and being voted on by your peers and stuff like that, I'm being seen in the light and I'm held to a higher standard. And it was one of those things where I didn't take that for granted. So just the way I carried myself, the way I spoke to people, the way I spoke to other players, just really trying my best to be the best type of role model that I can and give them any type of nuggets and stuff like that I could. Tried my best to do that, especially with like some of our new recruits, because I know how it feels to kind of go in and it's like, you don't know anybody. In my case, like, I traveled to a different state, like, that I've never been to other than today, than that moment. So it was like, okay, hey, you need, a shoulder to lean on, somebody to just talk to, and somebody that you can actually communicate with and say, like, what do I need to do? How does this look and stuff like that. And then even at times, if you're like, hey, I'm having trouble with this class, like, hey, you need to go here, seek your financial counselor, or tutoring and stuff like that. So it was definitely great to be able to do that. And I would say that, it worked out. And I think God, made me a captain for a reason. So being, like I said, being a leader and stuff like that, it really does put your mindset in a different thing, where everything you do, you're like, it's for someone else at some point. Even carrying yourself at AU, how you treat women on AU, how you treat the girls and stuff like that on campus, like, it sets a tone for sure.
I know Coach Coddington always used to say, when he was my coach back at Concordia, he would always say, like, you guys are the biggest names on campus. You guys are the biggest people on campus. So everybody recognizes who you are. Everybody knows what you guys are doing. You guys have a target on your back at all times. So, I mean, I resonated with that a lot when you said that. So I was like, dang, that sounds like something Coach Cobb would say back in the day. But no, that's a really good point.
Stuff I'm
And
still
I was
saying
bald,
today.
and I was bald then too. So you couldn't miss me. So it's like, oh yeah, that's one of the captains on the team. So yeah, there was no way I was not.
Yeah, you weren't escaping it. Nope.
You still got the the same muscular build even now that you had back then too.
Oh yeah, I try to stay in shape because weight past plan is real. I'm like, oh my goodness, because I'm not sitting there running around burning thousands of calories that I didn't even think about between practice and workouts and stuff like that. So it's like, I'm gonna have to do something about this. Otherwise, I'm gonna, face is gonna be out to here. So I'm like, no, I can't. So I definitely try to stay in the gym, like, very frequently.
Well, what were some of the lessons that you learned in football that have stayed with you kind of throughout to where you're at in life now?
So one that comes to mind is really embracing adversity. Because we really, unfortunately, we weren't able to win like a lot of games while I was there. But I really appreciated every last one that we did. And some people are like, oh, it's just a game, or it's just it's against this team or that team and stuff like that. But again, going back to how I mentioned before, like the blood, sweat, and tears, the workouts that I didn't feel like doing, the meetings I didn't want to stay awake in and stuff like that, it made it all the difference. And then coming from high school where I went to a program where we went to state my senior year, you know, it was like night and day where it's like, okay, this was their standard. And now I'm going to a place where we got to try to make the standard for ourselves. So it was definitely something that I, appreciate now that I take into the workforce and stuff like that. Because things aren't always going to go as planned or go your way per se, but that faith in God and stuff like that and embracing adversity, I think is a big important thing. One of the things that I kind of live by now is in the book of Proverbs. If you faint at the day of adversity, then your strength was small. So being able to be big and and have that faith and and have that strength in those times and challenges and stuff like that, I think play a big role because again, like how success looks like is going to look different on everybody's plate and stuff like that. But we all have a plate and have a table where we can be successful. So you just have to really just, put that hard hat on, keep your faith in God and stuff like that. And, let the rest speak for itself.
One of the questions that we've been kind of doing like a player interview series since spring ball started. What does it mean for you to be a Raven?
Ooh, that's a good question. So for me, kind of like I mentioned before, embracing adversity, but really just delighting in the process. Because I think, when people first see it, they think like, oh, okay, this team didn't win a bunch of games right away and stuff like that. But when you kind of go into it, it's like, again, you have an opportunity to change a culture. You could be part of what that success story and stuff like that builds us up for the next 10, 15, 20, or 30 years. And you get to say like, hey, I was a part of that in some form or fashion, whether it's a big role or a small role. So when I think about being a Raven, I think about like all the different details that it comes with, because God talks about delighting in the details of our lives. So I really think that's where I really try myself to do, whether it's film study, take extra time after practice, or maybe I have class after practice. So now I'm doing something in my apartment or my dorm, whether it's film study or practicing steps, going through plays, just really delighting in everything that comes with being a football player, but also being a man of Christ. And knowing like, hey, it's going to work out in some form or fashion. It's just, we don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but knowing that it is going to be great on the other side.
Yep. And right when you started talking, that little first part reminded me a lot about, one of the Raven pillar or the Raven Way pillars that we have, which is adding to the legacy. Because, the school has been, as you guys probably know, like the school's been enriched with history, like Brad Lamb, all these championship teams, so many record-breaking guys. And so to hear like alumni say that, you're not the first alumni to say that. So to hear you say that is just awesome to hear that, because obviously we all want continued success for this place. I know I've only been 3 years here. I'm not an alumni by any means, but I love this place just like I am. So to hear you guys say that has been really awesome to hear.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And all those little things, the details that are seemingly maybe in the moment feel insignificant, but without a doubt they add to kind of that value. I'll even say, man, even with since you've graduated, even over the past couple of years, some of the little things that you've done that have encouraged me, just the text messages, here and there when I first started the job here, through that first season that we had that was really, really hard, and then after a game that didn't go our way, getting that text from you of encouragement and the prayers, man, those things, while they might seem little, they definitely weren't little to me. Like those were some big things, and definitely appreciate the impact that you've had on me, on our program, both as a player, as a supporter, as an alum. It's been awesome.
Yep, absolutely. I appreciate it. It's been, like I said, it's been honestly an honor. And you may not realize it or not, but you've helped me a lot along the way too, bro. Because I can just think back to like freshman year and where we're getting like the last few reps during team, and then it was something always happened, a bad snap or, something weird happened, a false start, and they're like, oh, we got to cut short, the rain's coming or something, the storm's coming or something like that. And just really just, chatting it up with you and then getting that and then seeing like that difference when we started progressing and then start making plays and building up. Because like I said, we were, and quote unquote last on the depth chart. So go from that and then, going to a starter and a captain for 2 years, like it was like, man, I can't, I really can't thank you enough.
Yeah, yeah, no, it definitely bonds you together strong as you go through the suffering together, without a doubt. And yeah, I remember being a part of that group, and it's like, man, you and I are always together, and boy, was that ball on the ground a lot, and we had to figure some things out, but it was it's a lot of fun when you get to do it with people you love, and a lot of fun too when you get to do it with people that are trying to live life in the same way and on the same mission. And obviously a big part of that was, yeah, like we were trying to get better to have an impact on the football field, but to get to do life with another brother in Christ, and, people that are trying to live, life, at a championship level, whether that's on the field or off the field, definitely makes it, makes those bonds a heck of a lot stronger.
Yep, absolutely. As it says, iron sharpens iron. So one man sharpens another.
Without a doubt. Without a
So
doubt.
before we wrap things up, I do have a two-part question now that we're kind of talking about you guys playing days together.
Mhm.
One, what I need a Coach Coddington story as a player for our guys. They're going to want to hear something as a player. And two, what was it like to hear, or like where were you when you heard that he was going to be the next man to take over the program as head coach?
So as a player and stuff like that, he was, I'm gonna be honest with you, he was always one of my favorites. And, I might be biased, but it was one of those things, like I said, our conversations and just words of encouragement, us like paying attention to the details and stuff like that. Like that's really kind of where I feel like propelled my career at AU and stuff like that. Cause I came in like, yeah, I want to play running back and stuff like that. But to be honest with you, I played running back my freshman year of high school, and then I played like everything else. And then I came to AU and like, oh, I'm gonna play running back again. So learning like steps, learning how the defenses align, proper film study, like all these type of things, I'm having to learn like immediately that, my competition is like, okay, we've been doing this since like forever. So one story that I guess kind of comes to mind, and it's more of like a goofy thing on my end. So I remember we were lining up and it was a run play to the right. And Coddington, he had a great knack of just nonchalantly to not give it off on like film of like patting his side to say, okay, this direction that we're going. And I still went the wrong way. And not only that, but here comes one of the D linemen screaming through, and yeah, it wasn't so pretty for Coddington. It's
back
like,
back when quarterbacks were allowed to get hit.
Yeah,
practice. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because it's like, yeah, because we did have a couple of, how every team has it. You got those people that they practice at one speed and one speed only. So he's got this red jersey, and it's just like, oops. That's like, which granted, again, that oops could have been avoided had Josh went the right way.
Oh man, yeah. That year, well, I mean, there were definitely some mistakes both ways. I remember, we had an assistant coach that boy did he love to yell at me, and anything I did, it did not go well. And I remember, getting so frazzled one time. I think I actually lined up behind the guard instead of the center. I just got in my head too much.
Oh shoot, I remember.
That was not good. That was not good. That was probably like a low moment, for any quarterback. But
I think every quarterback in their life has done that at least.
Yeah,
once.
I think that's a given, especially everything you got to do. You trying to orchestrate, make sure everybody's lined up, is everybody know the play, stuff like that. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. You can't tell me in time. Shoot, I don't did the same thing. I'm like, oops, I'm supposed to be getting the ball, and here I am lined up by the tackle. Like,
yes, there was. I don't know if you remember Terrence Harvey, one of our offensive linemen too. He was a dude that, man, he was one of the greatest encouragers of all time. Because I remember in those moments I get frazzled, he'd turn around and just say, "Hey, man, I believe in you," and I could just feel my body calm down. When he turned around and said that, and to have another guy like that just around you when you got people that are in your corner, it makes it a lot easier that way.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. And that's what honestly that's what it is. It's just like it's a brotherhood, like really, bonding together. And like, yes, we may make mistakes, but it's like, hey, I'm gonna be here to encourage you and pick yourself back up. So yeah, I agree. Like he was a good dude. Cosby, between them two, man, oh my gosh, I'd be in tears just listening to them in practice. But yeah, they're some good guys. So what was your second question? I'm sorry.
What was it like, or where were you when you heard that he was going to be taking over the program as the head coach?
Shoot, you would have thought I made it to the NFL or something like that. Like when I think I want to say I was at my house and stuff like that when I found out, and I was just like, no way. First off, I was like, dang, I'm really that old that my former teammates can can
We
actually
had
take over
coaches,
now.
yeah.
And then two, I was like, my goodness, like, because I just knew, because like you probably already knew, like I was already sitting there even when you were at Concordia and stuff like that, which was ironically was the one we played.
Yep.
But seeing there and stuff like that, and I'm like getting that opportunity, I was that's what we need. We need somebody that's been in the weeds and stuff like that, that has been invested in this program and wanting to see it get to success and stuff like that. So really seeing you take on that role and stuff like that, which I know obviously it's big shoes to fill, but I was like, he's the right guy for the job. Yeah, man. See, yeah, you made, like I said, it seems like I said, although it's been a minute since we played and stuff like that, but just to see the huge impact, because being in this role and stuff like that, like like I said, it's big shoes to fill, but like I said, the way you've carried yourself over the years, your attention to detail, your passion for the game, your passion for people. I think to me, that's what made you such a great quarterback and a great player, and now a great coach, because it all falls in line and stuff like that. We can sit there and talk X's and O's all day, but if you can't relate and bring a collective unit together, then, like I said, all you are is just a bunch of parts trying to become this great machine of something.
Yep. We got a lot of work to do. Excited to continue to build, through this year, continue to take those steps forward, make it a better team to, hopefully get you and the rest of the alumni back here on campus for some games this fall, and put a good product out there on the field.
Absolutely.
Yep. Excited to hear. Like I said, I might need to check, make sure I ain't got no eligibility and stuff like that. I might suit up, but
there we go.
Yeah, I probably got like one quarter before my body breaks down.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll get you inside the 5-yard line, get you a nice touchdown, call it good.
Yep, there we go.
Oh yeah, and hopefully I don't pop a hamstring. But hey, I'll try.
There's one team that you want to go score on one more time. What team's that going to be?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I think it'd be Mount St. Joe. Because fun part, I was actually supposed to go there originally, and the recruitment fell off, and I just was praying to God, was like, I want a place to go where I can learn Christian atmosphere and stuff like that. And then that's where AU came along. So every time we played them, I was just like, yeah, I gotta, make sure my A game is on. The typical like, oh, they fell off recruiting me and stuff like that. So yeah, I was that player. But them, and then also Earlham, I would say, but it was one of those things, kind of like my senior year, like I need this to set a tone. I need to sit there and not only see myself making these type of plays, but also seeing my peers being able to realize, hey, we can do this. Like everything we've been working hard is possible. We just have to continue to believe and have that faith. So having those type of gratifications and stuff like that has been awesome.
Man, well, thanks so much for taking some time today with us, Josh. It's great to, get to see you a little bit, talk some football, talk some life, and definitely excited to see you again here soon.
Yep, absolutely. Can't wait, and go Ravens.